Hi, I'm Chris Quinn,
Marianne Means Dufresne.
and welcome to Meltdown Monday.
That's right. Hashtag Meltdown Monday.
Absolutely. We are talking about storytelling and a call to action.
Yep. So important that we think about the call to action, what our entire point is, and are we reaching the right audience?
Absolutely. Why is it that so often when we see messaging that we refuse or we leave out a call to action?
I think we're not being strategic in the way we're thinking. We think we're being persuasive in terms of what we're sharing and that people will automatically grab on to the idea we're trying to get across. But we have to be a little more literal, more clear, sometimes even redundant for people to realize that there is a call to action. This is what we want people to do based on the message that we're sharing.
Right. So one of the things that we want to talk about in this short form video for LinkedIn is how do you create a call to action and what steps you take to create a call to action, regardless if it's for a update, a video,
even if you're sharing something. You're sharing a point of view that someone else has issued and you have the opportunity to add to it.
Right. How do you do that?
First, we need to make sure that we're using the right medium for our audience, whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. If we're doing a lot of video, what's the best medium for that? Then, is what you're asking actually actionable? If it's actionable, is it reasonable? Is it something I can do in one simple step that will engage me in a process, if there is a process? But it has to be something that it's reasonable for people to do that in that moment.
That's a great point. And like I like to say, I don't want to meet my mother on the first date.
Right.
I think so often we want to take a call to action with our first post.
Right.
Or our first encounter.
We have to warm up. We have to build trust and build relationship.
Right. How do we do that?
A big key to building relationship, especially with an online presence, is being consistent. We're consistent with our message, we're consistent with how often we're online and how often we're sharing, and we're not oversharing.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Oversharing, because we want to start to engage our audiences on our different channels. And it's important that we identify our audience and what our channel is.
Right.
But often we go in, and I've worked with nonprofits like the Boy Scouts and Special Olympics and Lena Popum through the years. And I often tell people that are soliciting, it might take 3 to 5 years to build these relationships.
That's right.
Talk about the relationship building process.
Sure. People are loyal to people, not to relationships or not to organizations necessarily. And so that is, we're consistent in our message, we're approachable, and that is in a person is facial expressions, posture. In online content, if that's a major medium that we use to communicate, it's a friendly tone, it's having a consistent voice that you've thought about and you've determined, what does my organizational voice or my personal voice sound like?
So how can you be more personable in your updates? I see a lot of these updates on LinkedIn that really are just cut and paste.
Sure.
And have no personality to them.
Right. Adding some humor is important.
Okay.
And I think not being too lengthy as well. We kind of want to think of it, we have more characters than we would have in Twitter, but in that frame of mind of every letter and every word is valuable. This is important real estate that I'm not just filling up, I'm providing valuable content. So we don't want to be too wordy. We want to say something in as few words as possible, but if we can add humor, if we can add relatability to it. So think about, just like we talked about last week, thinking about things in terms of the other person's interest. What benefit did they have in what I'm sharing? How valuable is this?
Do I try to tell a story with my post?
Absolutely. Storytelling is key. And I think we often think about a post as this individual opportunity to communicate, but we need to consider strategically how all of our communication relates, which means we need a strategic plan on our communication.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about brainstorming. Let's talk about some different ways that we now come up with these ideas, because it seems so often that these ideas are just kind of thrown on a wall.
Sure. First and foremost, think about how you process information. I'm a verbal processor. I need to be with other people discussing ideas and opportunities to really feel like I'm hitting on the right things, and I need their feedback to continue growing my ideas. Other people are more cognitive, and they like having time apart and a way to really get engaged in deep thought. So think about the times that you have thought of your best ideas. And were you with people? Was it middle of the night and you woke up and wrote it in a journal? That can be a clue for you as to how you come up with your best ideas.
Great. Let's talk, if you'll hand me this book over here. Tinker Toys is a great tool that I use. It's a wonderful book just to come up with ideas, because I think that there's no one way to come up with ideas.
Absolutely.
And a lot of time when we brainstorm, an idea will be thrown out.
Right.
And people will run with that idea. And then everything else is kind of left.
Kind of falls off to the side.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about brainstorming and how important it is to, during the brainstorming, to make sure all your ideas are heard.
Sure.
And one of your favorite campaigns.
Yeah. We have to allot the right amount of time at the right time of day. Are you a morning or an evening person? And this is all about setting yourself up for success. For me, if I know that I want to brainstorm with other people, I'm a morning person, these are my favorite people to brainstorm with, I might want to set a regular date with those folks on that particular day to be brainstorming. And it's almost like your brain will begin to prepare itself to bring forward all those ideas. And you're right, it's important to not head down one path before the brainstorming session is over, because we don't know when one thought will trigger another, and we need to continue keeping up with new ideas. One of the best campaigns we've seen in recent memory is the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. That was a campaign that had a very clear call to action. It engaged people with others, so it was this viral, everybody received that challenge and wanted to pass it on to somebody else. And it was fun. It was something new, and it was actionable. All you had to have was an ice bucket, some ice, and a video camera, and a couple of other people to douse you. Or not even that. I saw people just toss them right off a ledge.
Great. So we all have relationships. We all have typically agencies or individuals or partners that we work with that kind of come up with these different ideas. When we've got an idea, what's the first step, do you think, in moving forward and kind of creating these ideas?
Yeah, I think it can vary based on strategies that you've used in the past, but one is really starting to flesh out a plan. If you have a great idea, don't immediately hit social media with it. Really think about the long-term ramifications of what that could produce in your environment and how you could use it to its utmost. So do more planning in that. Spend more time in quadrant 2 of Tyranny of the Urgent.
Right. Yeah, storytelling is great, and I see so many great stories without a call to action.
Right.
And you can have a great story, but if there is no call to action, if it's donating your time,
right,
or if it's money or whatever it is, but you have to build this relationship.
Have to build the relationship, and you have to be clear. And remember that the time that you're spending in investing in this organization that you're talking about and investing in this content online, you want a return from.
Right.
So think about, from a transactional perspective, yes, we're building a relationship, but each time I put energy out there, each time I expend energy in this communication, I'm hoping for a return. That return may take weeks to build with other communications, but that should be a part of my plan, and that goes back to.
Right, and you have to be patient. You cannot expect to see instant results.
That's right. Yeah, so often we'll see somebody hit on something really smart in terms of a campaign, and they'll begin it and not see traction immediately. Traction takes time to build.
Right. Yeah, it's like farming or anything else.
That's right.
Got to be patient with it.
That's right.
So, I love a call to action, but you've got to have a strategy.
Yes.
You have to have a plan, and you have to realize it's going to take time.
That's right, and it has to be reasonable.
Yeah, it does. So, when you think about actionable plan and moving forward and building that call to action, what is the one thing we can do?
The one thing, I think, we mentioned knowing your audience. make sure that it's something that people can take action on immediately, and it's not too big of a bite.
Right.
It has to be something people can do right that second, and there are not too many barriers to them doing that.
Right. Because the more, especially, the more barriers or the more steps that they have to take,
The less likely.
right?
The less likely people will follow through with it. We
Right.
need to make it easy and fun for them.
Crawl, walk, run, and that's why I love the one question survey.
Yes.
Survey your audience, ask them for their input, ask them for their ideas, ask them what they want to know more about.
And then when you take action based on that response, say that that's why you're doing it. People, if they give feedback, they want to know that you listened.
Right, right. One question survey, you can do it easily on Google. I mean, there's Survey Monkey. There's a number of ways you
Lots
can
of great tools.
Yeah, there really are. So next week we're going to talk about, are you approachable?
It's important to think about.
It is. Are you approachable? Go ahead.
Well, what about our body language? What about our posture?
Yeah.
How are we presenting ourselves, and what does that make people think?
Well, and how approachable are you in your post? I mean, I read posts and it doesn't make me want to go learn about that person.
That's right. What's your voice?
Right, right. So how approachable are you? How can you be more approachable? And thanks for tuning in to our special edition of Meltdown Monday.
#Meltdown Monday. Thanks for being here.
We appreciate it. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.